YouTube, it's Victaurora, and we're here again with another Fallout Zoo. Now, I started doing some actual foliage this time. So I started off with just an overview, reacclimating myself to the zoo, looking over some areas that I'm like, where do I want to add more zoo or theme park stuff, right? I loved the use of the broken down junkyard type items that I downloaded off the workshop, and I knew I wanted to put an exhibit here, but just I didn't know what animal yet. So what I did is I kind of got prepared to start an enclosure, and then I felt like I really want to put foliage and I want to put some more food shops and make it feel more like a theme park. So what I did is I definitely went into the workshop and the blueprint items. I remember that I downloaded a bunch of really cool items that I wanted to implement, like that RV. I knew I downloaded, like, I think it was like a few restaurants that looked like broken down. This whole pack was super cool because it had a lot of Fallout type things, like the bomb and like the wooden stuff. And so I put it off to the side and I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a lot of these items and implement them into my zoo. And then I totally got sidetracked after this, but I definitely really love this fencing. I also think this fencing would be really great for like a haunted zoo. So I'm going to keep that in mind for next time. I also saw these railroad parts. I'm like, gotta have those in there. So then I remembered I also had I think it was like a soda shop place and like a few other like restaurant type things that I wanted to implement. But I like had such a hard time finding it. So, but then I ended up finding a bunch of other fun, cool things like the New Vegas sign and some of the other things that I'm like excited to expand upon. Cause I think it'd be really cool to have a whole other section that's like the New Vegas like themed area. Cause it's like a totally different part of the game. So yeah, I put just like this little Nuka-Cola spot. I had a really hard time. I'm trying to have elevated things, but it's hard for me because I want everything to be super flat. And you'll see later I struggle with that as well with the cola stand or whatever, the Red Rocket gas station or whatever I put in later. So I go through and I find this cute little RV and I'm like, oh, that's really cute. And I even might switch this one for the one that's in the front later. I don't know. I was in between, like, do I do a food stand and 2 food trucks or do a food stand and a food truck? I don't know. Then I remember I had this really cool haunted mansion that I got. I think it was like a Disney pack one. Like someone had done the Disney haunted mansion. And I was like, I like that idea, but I want it to be like a governor's house type situation. So I'm going to do that in a different part of the zoo. But it's still in the back of my mind. And if you guys have any cool ideas like that, please let me know. I love working with creatives and like working with people on like ideas and different ways of implementing things into a zoo. I just think it's so fun. So I found the cola stand, it's the Red Rocket gas station. And I'm like, this would be so perfect for over here because it has like a souvenir shop, it has a bathroom, it has employee buildings. I'm like, this is exactly what I want on this side of the zoo because I want it to be like, why are we coming over here, right? Like we have the bear exhibit and we have that like back walkway after you get out of the bat enclosure, but I still want it to feel like a wasteland, right? I still want to feel like things would be far apart from each other. So I want the gas station to feel far apart. So I'm just reorganizing the workshop here a few times. I end up making a path this way that I end up actually liking. But this ground, guys, I don't know what I did when I placed the bear enclosure, but it screwed up something with the land. And I'm like committed now to just like figuring it out. So for way too long I do this. I like probably redid the ground like 30 times. I used I wanted to use the grid system to have people be able to walk around the gas station area, maybe take pictures and stuff. I was going to put some picture things down as well. But there's also the staff buildings, which I really, really wanted to implement in this area, but like in a good way. And I think this is a great way of doing it because it's like hidden, but it's also part of the back of staff area for the gift shop. I don't know. I just think it ended up looking really, really well on this part. I also struggle with placing paths in some of these workshop items. just because they just like sometimes don't align perfectly, and that's okay, but I'm also not the best at it. So if you feel like you're struggling at home to like place workshop items as well, it's not your fault. I promise. It is a difficult task. So I removed the ground because I really like this like sod-y type thing. Yeah, look at this, guys. I struggle so much with this. It took me, I'm like figuring out like, where is it messed up? Why is it messed up? Like, why is it not working like right here? Is there something underground? Is it like a heating thing? Like sometimes you can't place paths over other items. So I was like, is there another item? I don't know. I did this probably for like way too long. And that's okay. Like that's part of this game, is that like there is a struggle to it. I do have to take a break from it after a while, or I like redo it so many times to the point where I was like, all right, that's it. Like I'm just going to do a skinny path, and I'm just going to avoid the area that has the issue. And then I went like crazy with my foliage. I really wanted to start making it seem like the plants were either dead or trying to grow back, or like some deserty items stayed alive. Because if you look in the bear enclosure, it's like super luscious, because like that's what the bear needs, right? So it's like we would have only used our resources. Oh, I know, I messed up the floor here too. I was so pissed. I was like, oh goodness. So I had to like move the whole workshop item up. Oh, it's so annoying. But I think I finally get it here, because I think I finally go, you know what? I'm just going to do a fun wonky path, and that's just the way it's going to be. So what also, I wanted it to feel like this is kind of still alive, if that makes sense. Like we almost like rebuilt this thing, or it like just like everything can't be completely ruined, right? Like you still have to feel like you're in some sort of like actual like established theme park. So I wanted this building to be like one of my only like actual physical, like it was a gas station in the 50s, which was the time period or whatever for Fallout. I wanted to keep that look. So kudos to this person who built this gas station, Red Rocket. It's like a Red Rocket Inn. It looks so good. It reminds me so much of Johnny Rockets. It just gives me that whole ambiance of what I was wanting for this area in the back here, because this is like the new agey, like I have the bear enclosure that has like the new agey kind of architecture, but then I end up adding like some cars and some of the piled dirt. Like we would have pushed away some of we would have pushed away some of the like I want to say Fallout, but that's like a little redundant, don't you think? The junkyard type stuff. And then I'm like, ooh, what if we did like some of the soda machines and stuff? So I put some of those on here as well. And then I go kind of crazy. I kind of go like, okay, let's make this kind of even more like we would want to take pictures over here, right? Like I even said like maybe I should put some education stuff down to myself, but then I was like, maybe after, because there is already some education stuff on that wall. So this is where I kind of go crazy with the foliage. I start going crazy. I did grassland and desert as my two types of biomes that I wanted to stick with, just to keep the same kind of vibe throughout the entire zoo of like deserty coming back to life, everything growing back. I love this like use of grass growing over the side type of vibe of this path, because I like this path because it makes it feel like it's the dirt, if that makes sense. And I love these dead plants. I love the use of the cactuses. I kind of go crazy with some rocks as well. I wanted this to kind of not feel like a cliffside, but like just a little bit more rocky and less sand, because I feel like we have so much rock in the back in the background, which looks so good. And on the back cave, I want it to feel like we built the cave in a weird way. So I was like, let's put some natural rocks in here that look like it's part of the sand and that it's just like a cliffside here. Especially because like up against, I don't know if a lot of other creators go up against the railing of your, I try to use all of my available space. Like I am like, oh, am I up against the barrier? Great, we're gonna do a walkway with like some booths, you know what I mean? Like I want there to be also like this idea. I was almost thinking about doing a fairy garden or like a quote unquote butterfly garden, but they're just so large. Like you can't be right up against the barrier like that. So I kind of just did our own little like walkway, which I think still looks really pretty. And zoos do have random like, what are they called? Botanical garden type situations. So that was kind of like the vision I was feeling for that area along the side of the barrier of the zoo. But yeah, I just kept adding more and more foliage. I ended up taking this fencing that I really, really liked and ended up using it over here as well as like a barrier, because I'm really into the double barrier right now. I just think it makes the zoo look more realistic as possible. I know it's not like the best to have like your guests kind of like trapped within the zoo in a weird way, but I feel like it really gave like a finishing touch to that side area and this little like botanical area around the bear enclosure. I really, really enjoyed it. And it wasn't that hard to do. Like I said, some of these videos aren't even going to be a lot of animals. Sometimes it's just going to be like making the zoo feel like, why would I want to be in this zoo? And a lot of the time I get really excited, not only about the animals, but about the foliage and like the scenery and stuff like that. So like I said, I kind of went crazy just kind of adding a lot more foliage. I probably could have done a lot more. Oh, I also forgot we had this really cool like biome type thing, which I really, really love that because it looks like we were trying to like keep the certain biomes in the vault so that we could like grow like insects and stuff in there. And I think that's so cool. I think that's so Fallout. Something that like, that was our experiment, right? Is to literally like grow back society with animals and save the Noah's Ark kind of vibes. And I feel like as scientists, obviously it would be biologists that would be in this vault, and like human activists or like, you know, PETA-like people, they would have like kept the biomes in their own little like humidified like cubicles to keep them alive or whatever. Which I think is just so cool. I think that's just like so fun. So it just like went along with my lore of my zoo. I know that's like kind of silly, and I don't know if other people do that, but it's like so part of why I like to play this game is like I envision what the creators of the zoo were thinking, and like, I don't know, it just like makes my heart so full. All right, so I finished this fence here. After doing all that foliage, I collect every single piece that's in, because I wanted it to be one straight line instead of 3 lines. So I just move it to be 3 in a row, and then my brain just gave up on playing for today. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please go like it, leave a comment, tell me what was your favorite part. Like I said, sometimes these are kind of boring. It's just like foliage and just making things look prettier and putting down buildings and stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.